Right, let's be real about something here. You see, when we want to work, like reuse, maybe we go to another page and we want to use, let me close this. Let's say we go to another page and then we want to reuse a text field like that. Right? What it means is that we have to, or use a show modal bottom sheet and everything that we have used on this page. We want to replicate it on another page, right? So all you have to do is sometimes you can come back and copy this and go and put it there. If you want to make a change, you make a specific change. Meanwhile, most of the thing that you want to use throughout the app will be similar, right? So for a lister, for example, this lister is long from there to here, right? So I need to replicate, but this lister is just doing one thing on each tab, right? This is another lister. All right, the closing action button, you can see inside we have test field, right? We have this test field one, right? If you want to do another one, you will have to go again, and then this test field two. And then mind you, we have not used the full structure of a test field. We didn't do error border, how they got focus border and everything that we learned, right? It's good, it can be tedious, right? Demanding all that. Right, so if you want to do it again, we need to go and type this thing or copy this thing, go and paste and make the change manually. So here you have to now start dealing with organizations, right? One person of the organization is like be able to use this test field, like produce the full structure somewhere, and then we can be reusing it throughout the app. So we build it somewhere, right? And then we can just be reusing it every time we want. Right now we have this. If I click on this, there are these two um test field that we have. um let's say, let me see, where are we? Show dialog on pressed, they are here. Okay, when we clear it, okay, let me refresh the whole thing. So we have this, click on submit, cancel, open. The message is actually showing you the error message are not updating, right? Let me see if we do cancel. um we are clearing this and that, but it's fine. Okay, but then what we want to do is that let's focus on, if I want to we want to change this thing into reusable widget. That's what I mean. We want to create our own custom test field, one of them, just one somewhere, and then we'll be reusing them wherever we want to get to. So what we have to do is that we open our folder, right? We are inside the lib, right? Inside the lib, let's go and create another folder. I'm creating another folder called components. Let's call it component, right? So because there are some components that you'll be reusing throughout your app, like test field, some common widget that you want to use. So this one, let's call it test field dot that. So we want to create a test field widget here and be reusing it as many times as we want. So you see how I organize it, right? Inside the lib, I created a folder called component, and then the first component is a test field component. So that's test field dot that. So let's create a class, um, um, stateless class. Yes, stateless class. And then let's call it my, let's say, custom widget, custom test field, right? So this is a custom test field that we want to put. You know why this red line is already there? We need to import flatter material. Now, but the thing we are going to return from here is not a screen. We are creating a component. So the specific component that we want to return in this case is a test field. So this is going to just return a test field, right? So it's a test field that we are returning. So as a class, so this is a class, and this class is going to worry about just importing, how do you call it? Test field. Let's test. It's not a screen we are building. If it's a screen, we are return a scaffold, but we are returning a specific component. The component is just a test field. So now let's open it up, and then inside it, let's write, we have decoration, right? All of them have decoration, and inside that decoration we have input input decoration. Now let's close it. Um, mm, so now first let's go and see the component pasted here. We want to see it immediately. So we will go back to our file. Is the home screen, right? So this is what we had over there. So I'm going to where is it? The test field. Where is the test field? Is unpressed. This is a button, right? But then yeah, this is a test field, a simple test field. I'm going to replace the name test field. This is a test field, right? I'm going to replace with the custom custom text field. It has come here, right? The system has detected it for me. Custom text field. Let's do comma. I'll do the same for the message text field, right? So I'm going to do custom text field. This one, yeah. So I have this two here. Okay. So I have the name custom text field, and then um the message text field for that one. Let's refresh. Um, I'm doing a hot restart. Okay, so let me open it. So currently this is what we have, right, for each of them. One, two, because that's the component that we had here. We just created text field and we added input decoration, right? So for the input decoration, let's go border is going to outline input border, right? We do this once and then it will request for all kind of text field that are using this. Okay, let's um let's close this and do R. See, it has shown, right? We have this and we have this. We have this and we have this. We have this, we have this. Then all of them have the outline output border added immediately, right? So I make a change to one and then all of them are following that thing. Okay, the next thing is um each of them will need a label, right? So a label is going to be a text widget that says label, right? Basically. So let's run this and see what shows up. So you see it has label. This one too has label. This one too has label. The word label is all in all of them, the two of them. But we want it to be unique for each of them, right? Because we want each of them to submit their own label. So what we do is that we have to go to the top here on top of the override. Remember, it's a stateless widget. It's a stateless widget. So we need to return things that we need. So for each widget, right, this custom text field, if you are going to use this, we will need you to submit the name of the label, right? So that it will not be like general for all of them, but you submit the name of the label. So the name of that label will depend on whoever you're using and wherever you are using it, whatever name you want. You want it to be dynamic from outside. We are going to have a final variable here. Remember, we're using stateless widget, so the string, the label should be a string, and then that string should not accept now. It should be a label, right? Okay, that label to yeah. Some people, some places. Okay, okay. We need to pass a label to it, right? It should be final. Why should it be final? Stateless widgets, when you are declaring their variables, make sure that they are all final. That's what it requires. If you are using stateless widgets, right? Each variable should be a final first, and you declare the data type, and then you pass the name of the variable. So what will happen and what is happening inside here is that we need to now pass it to the constructor. We talked about constructor already before. We done pass before to the constructor. Inside the super dot key. After the super dot key, you need to put a comma and go to the next line. So after super dot key, we need to add that. Okay, for this, right, this dot label, we are going to take the label as well. But because it is not now, we have to add required. This is required. This is required. But if I do nullity, meaning I'm accepting nullity. It means that it's going to be optional, and that required is not needed, right? The question mark says that okay, it can be now, it can be now, right? If it's not now, what happened? If it's not now, meaning it is required, right? So it's going to be a mistake. Then what you are going to do, you have to say that okay, this is required, this is required before you can work. If you add a question mark there, the whole topic change, meaning that okay, the person can supply it or can decide not to supply it. So we go back to this place. Instead of writing this label here, we just write label. Currently, there's going to be an error. You see, there's an error on the screen, home screen that we have. On the home screen, now because we made it required, wherever you are using it, make sure that that is required. The name parameter labeled is required here. That's what they are telling us here. So it means that we need to say label. You need to pass the name. This is a what? The name, right? This one too. For custom video for this one is the, the the label that you pass is going to be like last message. Okay. Put a comma after it, put a comma after this one because they are now acting as arguments. Okay, we have an issue there. Let's read the issue. No constructor, custom test field with matching argument declared in this class custom. Let's just basically hot restart. Let's hot restart. And then let's click on this. And then it shows now. I did hot reload, but I need to do hot restart to restart everything. That's all. Okay. So we have the name, which is from here, and then the last message is this one. You see, we don't have to write those all those. So this system will just call it once, and then all the other settings like outline table and this, they are all inside. They are all inside this. Let's go back inside, right? Okay. So test field will come from the label will come from outside, right? So we don't hard code it inside, right? So we write it once here, and we can pass the label. So I can add another test field immediately right now. Let's go back here. I want to add another copy, paste, right? Another one, but the label for that one is what should it be? Let's say time, but we will not supply any time. I just want to have another one there. Let's restart. It's not showing. If it's not showing immediately, let me pause restart. Pause restart will show us everything. Okay, let me close it. You see, it has okay. There's no space between that and this. So let me copy this space between this and then put it on top of the test field and restart it. Okay, so let's see how it shows. So now there is time, there is last message, and there is time field. You see that each of them has their own listing. So I just reuse it. I just recall this line, and then the test field comes with a label with outline input border, right? By the settings, I'm doing the settings inside here. Okay, so that's one component. So you can reuse that component as many times as you want. Let's do more. Let's do more. You know that test field doesn't come. It has to come with maybe a hint test if you want to add a hint test, right? So you can also add a hint test, hint, hint text, right? So this is the hint test, and this hint test is usually a string. Hint is usually a string, right? If you write it over here, it's going to be the same for every widget. It's going to be the same for every widget. So you see, it changed to hint immediately. This one to change to hint immediately. This one also change to hint immediately for all the widgets. But we want it to be dynamic. Also, depending on when you are using it, the kind of hint that you want to pass at that point. So it should always also come from outside. So we are going to also do final string hint, right? So we need to come inside here. Right? This one always go to the next line. So let me close this side. Okay, so we have this and we have this. Let me go to the next line. Let's go down. Is required this dot hint. Okay, now for that hint we need to change this one to hint now. Okay, it is required. So it means that when you go back to the home screen, it is saying that okay, something is required. The thing that is required is hint. Your last message. Um, example. Um, I came to look for you. So this is just a hint for the user. For the time, we don't need the time again. So let's just clean it. And this one too, let's clear it out. Then we go to this guy too. It's also say a hint is required. The label, no, hint is required, and then that hint is going to be example Kwame Junior. This is what we used previously. Let's start that. Okay, yeah, that's the error. We have to hot restart. Okay, so I'm hot restarting. So now I open this. We have Kwame Junior that is showing here, and then also I came to look for a hint test showing there, right? You see that it's now flexible, right? But all the other color and things, well, we don't have to worry about this. A test suite needs a controller, and controller needs to come from outside as well, right? Those things are the ones that we create, those variables we create at the top. So we need to go back to our test suite, right, and tell it that okay. Another thing that we also need is a controller. Okay. Controller, what did we? I think it's more in the operation. Controller. The controller that we will need is going to be a test editing controller. So we need to go to the top here, right? We said final test editing controller, right? So um, let's say controller. I want to give it a different name from the one that. So let's say control, right? I think it's controller. Uh, yeah, this is controller. So it's also going to be required as well. So required. We need a controller for every gist dot controller. Okay. Yeah. So we need a controller. So if you come here, you have to call the controller that will be passing. This controller is the one outside. This argument is not the one that we need. So we need to go back here and say that okay, there's a call for us to give a controller because the test switch is now requiring it. So I need controller, and that controller is name controller. Remember, we've done this in here before going there. So um, controller um, is message controller, right? We have it here before we went there, so we are just reusing them. Let me do hot restart so that I don't restart again. um okay, so what do we have? So yeah, the controllers are going to be with that. They are going to be with that, and I click on submit those things. Now we need to, the test widgets, they need to actually come with what? Their um, error messages, right? So error messages, the error message may be now. So they may be now. So that one will not make them required. So if I'm going inside here and say error test, you know, this will be in the input error test, yes. So the error test is going to be now at the start, right? But then let's call it error. Yeah, error message, right? And that error message can be now because it needs to be now, right? So if it needs to be now, we need to go here and say final error message is a string. Because of the knowledge, we bring a question mark error message, right? But over here, we don't say required. We just say this dot error message, right? Because it can be now. So the question mark say that it can be now. So you see that when we go to the home screen here, there's no call for us to do this because these are the ones that are required. Those that are required, these three are required, right? But this one is optional. So this one is optional. If it is optional, optional, um, I want to give a comment. Optional, right? It's optional. So if it is required, this one are mandatory. If they are mandatory, the test field will not work without that. That's why when we remove them, when I remove this one, for example, you see there will be an error. The name parameter label is required. But those that are optional, they will not show any error. They will not hint you. But if you know about it, then how to find out? You can click on here and see that there is label that is required, hint that is required, test editing control that is required, but the string is an error message, right? It's not required. You can see it over there. So if you know about that, what you need is that error, what am I typing? Error message. So what's the error message that we are going to pass? Um Error message. What's the error message? Mm, so it's error message. Um, Message error. What's the error message thing that we had at the top here? I think this is name error test. Name error test. That's what we had here. And this one we have error message that we are taking as parameter is message error test. Oh, this one we've done it already. We've done it in previous sessions, right? They are all here. Those error things that we are using, they are all here, right? And then the editing controller. With this one, they work with how do you call it? Uh, they work with test field. So we put them here. They are needed in the test field. So what happened? That's what we are using. We've done it already. Already. So let me refresh and see if it will be at work now. Let me go back to the test. Did I make pass it? Yeah, error message is passed. Let's do hot restart. Hot restart and try our thing. Okay. So I'm now hot restarting and I click on submit. There are error messages inside. Cancel errors. I mean there are error message inside. So let me type and submit. It's gone. Click on this one, submit, and then it is added. Right? You see that it is added. That's been added. So when I go here, the test field are there. So by so doing, I can go on any other screen, right? I can go on here or any other part that I want to use a test field and just simply call this. I'll just call this, right? I'll just worry about the message I want to pass, the hint test, and then the controller, right? Let's make the hint test optional as well. So the hint test, some places you don't want to pass any hint test or anything, right? So where are you? Hint test, we want to make it optional. Okay. Um mm, so this is not required. This is not required. Hint test. Yep. So for the hint test, we need to be careful as well, right? Let me show you this before we know that we need to be careful about something. Okay, let me click on this and click inside. It shows Kwame Junior and last week. We made it optional, but we have passed it here, so I don't want to pass it here. Let's comment this one and comment this one as well because it's optional. Let's restart or to restart. Um, let's see. Click on it. Yeah, click on it. Yeah, right. Because currently it is now. Nothing is showing. Right. So it's perfectly worked. When I click on this submit, I need to tap this. Type this. Right. Yeah. So those are the things that you need to keep in mind. Let me delete this. Okay. So click on this and then we'll cancel it. I think we are good to go. Then if it is password, for password we know that we have to how do you call it, special character and show password and show characters and things, right? So that make it visible or not make it visible also depends on the test field. So if you go to the test field, it is the input decoration label test. We didn't even talk about icon, right? We need to talk about the icon as well. Prefix icon and all that. Yeah, let me worry about the icon. Maybe you want to pass an icon, right? So I can say an icon I want to pass. So final is icon data. The data type is icon data for icons, right? And then prefix icon, okay. And then I want it to be optional, or the user may not need it. It's going to be optional. If it is optional, then we just say this dot prefix icon. That's all. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. The variables are not under prefix icon. Prefix icon. Prefix icon. We don't use the camel case. We have to use the camel case, right? Camel case, right? So it's fine. So this is good. This is good. So I need to come here and say prefix icon is going to be prefix icon, the one that the user will pass. All right. Um, can be assigned to the parameter type widget. So the thing is that this prefix icon um does not accept nullity. It does not accept nullity. That's the problem that we have here, right? What we are passing here is just icon into brackets. Yeah, prefix icon. So we need to pass the icon. Yeah, we need to icons dot data, whatever we want to pass, we'll pass it. Okay, let's restart. This is how we need to wrap it around it. Yes. So currently you can see at the beginning there seems to be not something here. There seems to be something here, right? We didn't pass any icon, and this is what it's showing us because this one has required it. So if we need it or we don't need it, um, we need to be able to cancel this out, right? You need to be able to cancel this out one way or the other. So if you don't need it in your test fields, right? If icons, just don't include them. If you need them, then you pass them because we can find a way to not use it, right? To make it very, very optional, right? But right now, let's remove it because it's going to introduce that space in front of us, and we need to do add logis to do that. So I'm removing this. Let's go with test field, um, text align, controller, autofocus, obscuring character, obscure text true or false. So obscure text true or false, right? So if you want to hide the text true or false, so what we need to do is that final final who hide characters. Okay, so this one hide characters equals to false. At the beginning it is false, so it is very, very optional. So this dot hide characters. Do I need it to be fine now? Let me see. Okay, I want to make it optional as well. Okay, it should be final. Final. Yeah, it should be final. Final, and then we are saying that it's going to be we are going to make it optional. um optional, a optional, yeah, also optional, right? So now let's go to inside here and then say hide obscure text. um you're going to be hide characters, right? Their hide characters can either be true or false, right? So we are going to use something called um this particular logic that will be able to help us check dot is empty or no. If this one is equal to now, if it is now, then we are going to say hard character is false. False, else this changes to true. Okay, so it can be either true or false, right? So if the person, if it is now, meaning we are going to use the false, else we are going to use basically the true. There's a better way of rewriting this, right? But then right now, let's have it like, okay, this is the condition, right? And then if this condition is true, we are going to pass false to obscure test. But if the condition is false, then we are going to, it's going to be turned to true, right? So obscure test is going to be either true or false. So if I go to the home screen, back to the home screen, and I custom test field for the name, I want to hide the name. I can say um hide characters. Is it true or false? I need to pass true, right? So I'm going to restart. I'm going to pass through. Okay. So let's see when I'm typing. You see, those ones are hiding. Those ones are hiding. If I come to the message, they are not hiding because I didn't pass the obscure true for text message. You know, I didn't even pass it. So we say if we didn't pass it, it should be false. But if we pass it, it should be true, basically. So this is how to reuse custom text field across. So whenever you want to use a custom text field, we'll just call this any text field at all. We'll just call this and then we'll be using it. There are some widgets that are like that, right? That you want to design a custom one and be reusing them across multiple apps so that when you want to worry about things that change don't matter, like color, size, and all that. You have flexibility of controlling them in one place and they reflect across the app to make sure there's consistency in terms of UI, right? So yeah, so our very first component that we have is the test field, and then we can later add more to that. So we'll be organizing groups of things like this as we move forward.